and welcome to another episode of the Oriire podcast, the podcast that tells African stories. I'm Ceci.
And I'm Halima. Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the spice routes of Africa.
Yes, basically, we're taking you on a journey through various African spices, through the flavors of the continent.
So the African continent is known for its very rich and varied cuisine. And our cuisine is influenced by many cultures and the many traditions that make up our very diverse population. And spices have played a very, very vital role in African cuisines for centuries. We love spicy food. We love when food tastes really, I don't know, we just really like when you can taste the spices in food. And basically, spices are used to enhance the flavor and the aroma of dishes as well, and they contain medicinal properties. So basically, the spice route of Africa, we're taking, like Stacey said, we're taking you on a fascinating journey through the many flavors of the continent. And to also like highlights the importance of spices in our dishes and our culture in general.
Yep. So, like Halima has said, spices are really important to Africans and to African cooking. Basically, we pass down recipes from generation to generation. Many modern recipes are based on like classic dishes that are really old. And since there was no refrigeration, we use a lot of, or at least since there was no refrigeration when the recipes were invented, we use a lot of dried ingredients, which made it easier to preserve food. So that's why, in many cultures within Africa, a lot of the local foods use dried meats, dried fish, as well as dried spices, vegetables, fruits. Okay. So a really long time ago, spices and other exotic goods were traded between the east and west coast of Africa and beyond. So there was a whole spice network, and it connected Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. And there were spices traded, textiles, ivory, gold, and much more. The routes were established by traders and explorers. They traveled by land and by sea, and they made a really vast network of connections between these different regions and the cultures, which is why, sometimes, for example, some countries in North Africa have a lot in common with a lot of countries in the Middle East, and because, that kind of trade route was established. Okay, so let's go into some of the spices that have been used in traditional African cuisine for centuries. Halima, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So the first spice that we've identified that has always been used in African cuisine basically is it's called grains of selim, and in Ghana it's called Yuda seeds, and in some parts it's called Negro pepper. So this spice is native to West Africa, and then it has a very smoky, earthy flavor, and is typically used to flavor soups and stews. It also has medicinal properties according to some research, right? So it's widely consumed, like I said, by West Africans, especially Ghanaians, and then it's also consumed by some folks in Ethiopia. This spice contains essential vitamins and minerals, and it helps to like soothe the body, and it helps relieve body pains, and it has a sort of like nutmegish type of taste when it's added to food. It also has a slightly bitter taste to it, so that's very interesting.
Yep. So the Uda seeds or the grains of selim are these like black pods, which contain a couple of seeds. And then let's move on to the next one, which is long pepper. So long pepper is a spice native to East Africa. It has a similar flavor profile to black pepper, but the flavor is a bit more complex, and it's used in a lot of spice blends.
The next one we have is called kawash. And I'm so sorry to Somali folks if I'm not pronouncing this properly. I do like Somali food to a very reasonable extent. Anyway, the kawash spice is native to Somalia and is made up of a mixture of spices. And these spices include coriander, cumin, cardamom, and cinnamon, and is often used to flavor meat and vegetable dishes.
Yep. And the next on the list is Berber. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it that correctly, but it's spelled Berbere. And basically, it's a spice blend native to Ethiopia. It's another spice mix similar to Zavash from Somalia. And it has chili peppers, cumin, coriander, and cardamom. So basically, The flavor profiles are really, really close together, and it's often used to flavor stews and meat dishes.
Next up, we have one of my personal favorites, bisap. I don't know again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this properly, but in Nigeria we refer to this thing as zobo. In some parts of Ghana, they call it zobolo. And then basically is it's a spice made from dried hibiscus flowers and is native to West Africa. It has a very tart, fruity flavor and is often used to make the popular African drink called bisap, zobolo, zobo, whatever you call it in your country. And yeah, I really like bisap, like not this spice, but what the spice is used to make. So you should try that out someday.
Yep. And the next on the list is tamarind. So tamarind is basically a fruit. I think it's the first fruit on the list. It's native to Africa and it has a tart, tangy flavor. It's often used in chutneys and sauces. Basically, tamarind is a very interesting looking fruit. I don't know if any of you have ever seen it before. It looks like these pods, and then inside is this like orangey slash brown looking fruit, and people usually make it into a paste to use for cooking.
Next up, we have something called robos. Why am I getting the difficult spices?
Rooibos.
Basically, rooibos is a type of tea that is native to South Africa. It has a sweet, slightly nutty flavor and is often used to make tea.
Yeah, I think that's one that most people would have already heard of. And then we move on to kinkeliba. So before this research, I have honestly never heard of this before. I'm not sure if I've ever tasted it before, but basically it's an herb that's native to West Africa and it's often used to make tea. It has a slightly bitter flavor and it's believed to have many, many health benefits. So actually, if you go online and search Kinkeliba tea, you'll see so much, but it's not something, you know, I'd ever heard of. I'm actually surprised at how popular it is. Okay, what's next?
This is from Burkina Faso. Hi, my Burkina babes. Um, the next thing I have is con. Again, I might be pronouncing this in a very Nigerian way, but it's spelled Kan. And this is basically a spice blend that consists of peanut powder, chili powder, allspice, and Maggi bouillon cubes. It's popular in Burkina Faso and in some parts of Senegal, and they're mostly sprinkled over grilled meat. This spice brings a combination of grassy and spicy flavors to food. Um, just reading through this spice, it sounds a lot like what Nigerians call yaji or like suya spice, but
Exactly what I was
yeah,
going to say. This sounds very similar
very
to
very
the spice
similar.
blend
Yep.
used for suya. So yeah, that's just another common thread. Okay, so the next one on the list is fermented locust beans, also known as iru. And this is a very, very popular cooking ingredient in Nigeria in various tribes. So it comes in both fresh versions and dried versions, whether whole or mashed. And both, are amazing. The spices smell is it's very unique. It's not a great smell. People say it smells like feet. Um, but it adds so much flavor to stews and soups, and it makes them taste amazing. So, for example, you use iru in egusi, in efo, okra, and basically anything. I feel like it works really well, iru, in soups that use palm oil because the iru flavor and the palm oil flavor go so well together. And apparently it's got a lot of nutritional benefits as well. It has 29% lipid, 35% protein, and 16% carbohydrates. It's also a good source of calcium and fat. So at least when you eat the F4, you don't have to feel so guilty, except for the, EBA, which I'm not sure if that has any health benefits.
I just want to say I really, really love Iru. You
Same.
guys, if you haven't tried Iru or any food that has Iru, try it. Next up, we have turmeric and the Moroccan or maybe the Arabic name, I don't know, is Qum. Quekoum, but basically it's just turmeric. And then this spice is obtained from the dried roots of the Circuma longa plant. It is distinctively bright yellow and it is closely related to ginger. Turmeric is mostly used as a food coloring spice in Moroccan cuisine for dishes such as rice and tagines. Its anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties make it a suitable choice for reducing the symptoms of arthritis, apparently. So turmeric is really healthy, you guys. And a hack, turmeric is really good for like skincare. So use a little bit of turmeric in your skincare products. That's
Yep.
highly advised. But yeah.
So next up, we have Mao forest dried nettles, which have been used by Kenyan natives for generations as an herb and staple in Kenyan cuisine. Usually, the plant is available during a drought and it's manually harvested from March to June and from September to October. And people can use it as a fresh vegetable, as a medicinal herb, or as a herbal tea. And they are also recommended as dietary supplements for breastfeeding mothers because of the nutritional benefits of the plant. The leaves have 6% protein, 3.5% minerals, which include iron and vitamin A. And the dry powder apparently can be diluted in water and sprayed on the soil to improve fertility. That's what they say.
Next one we have is meat meter. It's an Ethiopian spice and it's basically a spice blend that's, like I said, prominent in Ethiopia. It contains a lot of ingredients such as cloves, cardamom, salt, cumin, ginger, cinnamon, and bird's eye chili. And they're always in like powdery form. Traditionally, this spice has been used to like deep cook for like raw meat dishes, but it can also be sprinkled on different foods and it has like amazing health benefits when it's added to any dish.
Okay, next up is bitter leaf, which is something I'm familiar with. Basically, bitter leaf, also known as onubu or efo ewuro or shuwaka, stands out for its bitter taste, which I think is evident from the name. Some people boil this leaf to remove the bitterness, and then they add it to soups or dishes. It's a Nigerian herb, basically, and it has a lot of detoxification properties, which make it one of the top choices for helping the body fight against many diseases and infections. One of the well-known uses of bitter leaf is that it's a remedy for stomach aches, or so they say. I haven't tried it personally, but they say using bitter leaf for your health is pretty easy. You can either chew on the tender part of the plant stem or leaf stalk or swallow it, and it will help you out with your ailments.
Next up, we have buffalo grass and is also called alfalfa. It's a Ghanaian spice, and this is one of the most common and indigenous herbs in Ghana. Alfalfa stem, leaves, and sprouts are rich in vitamins, minerals, proteins, and all other nutrients. And this makes it suitable for treating arthritis and digestive problems. And it can serve as a diuretic and for reducing high cholesterol. Interesting. This plant has a very high concentration of beta carotene, which builds up the immune system. And this herb is also a home remedy for bad breath and body odor. So y'all should use a lot of alfalfa.
Yep. And then we have buchu from South Africa. So the buchu herb, and I think it's called Agathosma betulina, is cultivated in the Western Cape, South Africa. Basically, it is widely known, the leaf, for its medicinal properties and its oil producing abilities. It has anti inflammatory and antiseptic properties that help it to treat high blood pressure, UTI infections, arthritis, gout, and countless other ailments. Wow, this is, pretty effective at a lot of things, according to the research. And they say that the herb can be applied to the skin as an insect repellent, as well as treating many other skin infections.
And then the last spice we have on our list is the devil's claw. It's a Namibian spice. And the devil claw is a herb that gets its name from the appearance of its fruits, which are covered with hooks. It is mainly found in the eastern and southern and southeastern part of Namibia. And studies have shown that this devil's claw might help reduce the pain experienced by people who suffer from osteoarthritis. It's a very common form of arthritis. Um, that's all we have on our list for today. And
Yes.
these are just like a few examples of the many, many indigenous spices in Africa. And each region of the continent has its own unique spice and like spice blends that are a very important part of its cultural heritage.
I think that the most interesting part of this for me was discovering just how many of these spices are said to have such like really good health benefits.
Mhm.
So make sure you go out there and try as many as possible and come back and tell us your experiences.
Do you
Yes.
think like a lot of these spices they have like besides the overlap, they're made up of like a bunch of other spices. So it's basically just like a mix of various spices into one spice.
Yes, a lot of them are spice blends, not
Yep.
just one spice in particular. And I think you'll find that many cultures
Mm-hmm.
have like their unique spice blends that they usually use to season in a lot of things. Like for example, one that we should have included maybe next time is like the spice blend for pepper soup. Would have been interesting to
Yeah.
explore. So maybe we can even do an episode about just spice blends alone. We can do this pepper soup spice blend, the soya spice blend, the spice blend. Anyway, all of them.
Yeah, and just the last comment on what I find interesting about spices is how personal it is as well. So you can mix like a lot of different spices just like to create your own personal taste, and that's totally okay. And anyway, that's all we have. So share with us any spice you find interesting or a spice you can't do without in your cooking. And thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, share with your friends, family, subscribe, stay notified, and all of that.
Tell your friends. And make sure to follow us on social media where we are Oriire_Africa on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Oriire is spelled ORIIRE. Also, go to our website, oriire.com, ORIIRE. Go right now. Go to the contact us page and get in touch with us. Come on an episode of the podcast. Read our articles. They're really interesting. And if you want to come talk to us, we're always ready to have you. You can send us a message at any time. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Suya spice. That was random. Bye, guys.